All right, so you want to give us a little bit of like introduction about yourself and how you first got into this niche?
Yeah, so when I was in middle school, like sixth or seventh grade, it was COVID, and we were all stuck in our homes, and I might have gotten a little overweight. And I remember one day I weighed myself in, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I realized that I needed to lose weight, or at least change something in my diet, change something in my training. And at that point, I was not training at all, and that's kind of when I walked into my basement, and I started to pick up some dumbbells. Obviously, I had no clue what was going on. I was just doing it for the heck of it, better than nothing. And from there, I've always wanted to get better at my training ever since I started. Um, I think as humans, we have this urge for agency, for control over what we do and the things we take on. And that I really felt a lot of need for agency in my own lifting. And so that's kind of how I started to fall down this rabbit hole. Is I just simply wanted to get better. I wanted to know more, to get better, to have a greater control over my training, and to have more confidence in my training. And after like a year of just fiddling around in the basement, I got to sign up at my local Vent Fitness, and that's when I started taking things a bit more seriously. I mean, you actually have equipment there, not just some dumbbells and a bench, right? And so that's kind of when I started looking at Jeff Nippard, Dr. Mike Israetel, because those are very surface level niche, I would
The
say.
first ring of
And
hell of science-based lifting. Yeah.
yes, yes, everyone has to go through them at least once in your life. Um, and from there, I kind of discovered a more niche ring, like you were saying, mostly on TikTok, right? On TikTok, you kind of get into science-based lifting, and once you kind of get past that Jeff Nippard and Dr. Mike, you start to realize, oh shoot, we have like motor unit recruitment, mechanical matching, and all that type of stuff. And so basically, for the past year and a half to about a year, I've been training with those science-based methodologies in mind, mostly from like you said, the inner ring, beyond Dr. Mike and Jeff Nippard.
So that's actually very interesting that you share that because that's like exactly how I got into lifting, like the exact same story. The only difference is I had that whole timeline going on starting at your age. So the first time I ever picked
Yeah,
up a weight, I was 15. But I
right.
find that to be crazy. You were in like sixth grade when you first started, like your weight loss kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how much did you weigh at that time?
So I was like about 5'2", 5'4", and I was
Hmm.
155.
Hmm.
So I was a pretty chunky boy. Actually, I
Yeah.
weigh 155 right now. I'm just like 6 or 7 inches taller.
Yeah.
You know.
That's crazy. So
But yeah,
you were working on your basement as well. I had the same thing. I had like just a bench, like a barbell and a
yeah,
squat rack. And like, for
exactly,
literally my first
exactly.
year and a half of working out, all I did was like the classic bodybuilding, like golden
Yeah.
era workouts, because that was the only
Yes,
access I had.
sir.
And honestly, it was like a simpler time. It
Oh
was
yeah.
like the deeper you get into it, the more you realize that. Like I know there's like a meme about like enjoyment on TikTok now and how like
Yeah.
people are kind of overvaluing how much of a role enjoyment plays in your training. But I understand that point of view. But like
Yeah.
I also understand the opposite side where like at the end of the day, for a natural lifter, if you dedicate 20 years of hard training, even if you're doing like the worst possible resistance profiles, the most unstable exercises to a point, obviously not like Bosu ball squats or something like that, you're pretty much
Yeah.
going to maximize hypertrophy eventually at
Yeah.
some point. And I know like plenty of creators have talked about this. Like it's really just about the speed at which you're going to do it. So I'm just happy that people are getting into the gym and that it's become so
Oh,
popular in the last few years because
100%.
like when I first got into it, it was popular. Like you had like the David Lade, Jeff Side, and all that. But I feel
Yeah.
like TikTok, especially like science-based lifting, has like catapulted it into like a crazy distribution of people at this point. Like the fact that I'm having a conversation with a 15-year-old about science-based lifting is just crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
where did you even come across it? Like I know you said Jeff Nipper, but when did you like really go? When did you cross the threshold from like
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
From like that stretch cult to more like mechanical matching kind
Yeah.
of idea.
I
Yeah.
also want to ask you
Actually,
about mechanical matching, definitely. But
yeah. I remember it very clearly. It was a video from Paul Carter, as questionable as his antics are these days. But there's a video about Paul Carter responding to Dr. Mike Israetel, talking about how the main reason why the calves grow better in a deep stretch is because they have better leverage in a straight leg position relative to the soleus. And the first time I watched it, I was like, "What is this guy talking about?" Dr. Mike, Dr. Mike couldn't be wrong. He can't possibly be wrong.
he's an exercise scientist
And
with a PhD.
PhD, in $1 million gym. And
Yeah.
there was no doubt in my mind at that point that Dr. Mike was right. And then I guess like the algorithm caught on that like it knew I spent too much time watching that specific video and it started to feed me all these other videos from Paul Carter. And I began to realize, wait a minute, this whole like internal moment arms and neuromechanical matching
Mm.
makes a lot more sense than just train everything in a deep stretch, bro. And that's, I mean, Paul Carter, obviously not the greatest guy that now that we know
Mhm.
what he's up to. But he was one of the biggest reasons why I got into this whole, neuromechanical matching past that first ring of hell, as you like to say. And then one more thing is that after I watched all like the Dr. Mike videos and the Jeff Nippard videos, I felt a very good sense of agency. Like I was saying again, I felt like I knew everything that needed to be known about science-based lifting, as ridiculous as that may sound, for me at that point. And when I discovered this new kind of area, this new forest that I haven't even walked into yet, I got excited because to me, sorry, I no longer had agency. I knew that in my mind there was more to learn, and that's kind of what catapulted me into this niche.
What do you mean by agency? Like control over your own? Like how's agency play a role in this?
Yeah. So what I mean by agency is that if I'm doing something like weightlifting or I'm getting into a niche, I like to know all there is that there is needed to be known about that niche. Um, agency, like the official definition, relates to control, but for me, I want to feel confident in what I'm doing, or confident that what I'm doing is best, and that idea that if I learn this and implement this into my training could be better, and it could always be better, and that's kind of what drove me. That's kind of what I'm saying about agency.
So what's your understanding of neuromechanical matching? I don't want to like dive super deep into it, but you mentioned that like you definitely rather load exercises where they have longest internal momentum length as opposed to just in the most lengthened position, which I would generally agree with, but I would also argue that those aren't like the only two possibilities. But yeah, like would you generally say that on most programming decisions you're making, you are using neuromechanical matching as the primary factor?
Yes, on most, if not all. Sometimes I have, like, I think I made a couple videos about this. Sometimes if you're, say, training the elbow flexors, right? I'm training the biceps as the biarticular one, and then the brachialis and the brachioradialis. I don't know why my camera's not. Okay, well, the brachialis and the brachioradialis as the monoarticular ones. If I do a recline curl and then a preacher curl, right? One of them is going to have the biceps more flexed. One of them is going to have the biceps more lengthened. It doesn't matter what you believe in, neuromechanical matching or highest internal fiber force, as the debates are kind of raging on right now. One of them is going to bias the biceps, and it doesn't matter which one, because whichever one biases the biceps, doing both, right?
Hypertrophy is fiber specific anyway.
Yeah. So, yes, currently neuromechanical matching. Though, for anyone listening, do not get too attached to neuromechanical matching. Don't like. In some ways, like I was saying to you, we're no better than pro lifters or the stretch cult who get attached to their own methodologies. And so I think, especially right now, as the debates are going, we should keep an open mind about neuromechanical matching.
I think that's the biggest problem, I would have to say. My biggest criticism, as I told you when we previously spoke for a little bit, like with TikTok and science-based lifting on TikTok, is short form content just doesn't allow for enough nuance. Like you just get the most popular videos are going to be the most rage baity videos. So like it's very hard to actually understand all of the context. So most people just end up literally doing exactly what you said, just picking an identity that they would rather have, and then spending the rest of their lifting career just trying to affirm that identity with every piece of evidence that they find. So how do you navigate that, and how do you determine what's credible information in this like oversaturated industry, and what's something that you should be reconsidering?
Right. So from my personal perspective, I believe enough to discern credible information and not credible information. For most people, they're not up to that level yet, and I honestly feel bad for those people.
How do you do it, though?
How do you discern?
Yeah, like how exactly do you, like, what are the factors that you,
So what I like to do is, number one, the more time you spend in this niche, the more perspectives you will see. And that's kind of like the whole point of this podcast, right? The more perspectives you will see. And as you learn about different perspectives, do not be too quick to write off any one of them. And what's really important is you want people to kind of certain content creators that can anchor you to certain perspectives. What I like to do is look at, like, we have really respectable content creators like Keenan. And on the other side of the spectrum, if we're talking the expansion and compression model, we have Sebastian Burka and other content creators like that. What I don't want you guys to do is only look at Keenan and Yo and that side of the crowd, Chris Beardsley. I want you to look at every perspective, right? Like you said, each content creator has their own identity. And especially the big ones, they're probably not willing to change their identity by a large margin.
Because they've already built their follower base.
Exactly. So the best thing you can do is to instead look at as many different identities as you can and deduct for yourself based on what you know and what you've learned. Obviously, much more easily said than done. And then deduct what is true and what is false. And of course, there's no reason to force yourself to stick to social media. I think on Google, I'm not telling you to like Google search anything, but there are reputable sources from universities, from textbooks that you could always fall back onto. But of course, that's more time consuming.
And speaking of agency as well, you definitely are forfeiting your agency as an individual thinker when you just attach yourself to one creator's training philosophy, because it's very similar to like politics in the sense of like you can take certain policies from certain politicians, but to just blindly support any decision that a politician were to make because they happen to be on the right side of one of your one disagreement that you were involved in, I feel like Yeah, that's where it gets tricky, is because it's like an open platform, so everybody does have the ability to speak and to advertise for themselves. And as you mentioned, like whatever you really blow up from is what you're kind of going to have to stay consistent with. So that's my biggest fear, like being like a newer creator, like spending time in like a gym setting, like working in an actual gym. The type of relationships that you build on like the small scale like that is very, very different in contrast to the type of like parasocial relationship you have to have with your fans and clients online. And
Yes.
and I would say I'm just curious, like how you feel that's going to end up changing over the next 5-10 years.
Honestly, I feel like it's going to a more extreme direction.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see content creators already getting fed up with their fans. Like,
Yes.
I think a good example is Coach Muddy.
Yeah.
Spams, I don't know, I don't care. And honestly, I don't blame him, bro.
Seems like he doesn't want to
seen
make fitness
videos.
content anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen videos from him from like 2022 answering every single question in his comments.
Yeah.
And what I think is important to the viewers is if you have a question in this niche, and if you can just do a simple search and find the answer, you should not be leaving a comment for the creator. Because especially if that creator is like a big time creator like TNF, Keenan. I mean, actually, Keenan answers all of his comments pretty much. But Keenan, Mundy, to me, it's almost disrespectful. So especially as more people enter this niche, there's going to be more questions. There will be, and do not leave it up to the content creator to answer those questions. You can always look for yourself. Of course, and like leaving a comment is much easier than actually seeking the truth for yourself, though.
And the issues with these comments too is that like most of the comments that you'll see on these popular creators' posts, like they reveal how little the viewers truly internalize the education they're receiving from these creators. Like, and that could be at fault of the fact that the content is short form, but it also could just be the fact that hypertrophy and exercise science and physiology and biomechanics is not really something that you could dumb down in an hour-long podcast, let alone a 2-minute video. Like, there are people who dedicate their entire lives to studying this stuff. Like, and it's not something that you can just kind of do a couple of Google searches and end up figuring out how to lift for the rest of your life for. So
yes.
I feel like it's interesting that people don't realize that coaches are advertising themselves on these platforms and that it's a service that they're trying to sell. So when you come forward and ask them like these like direct programming questions, like, how would you suggest a beginner like me would structure like a full upper body and lower body day? How could you expect somebody to answer that, especially knowing that that's their career?
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, I honestly feel for those people, especially those who have tried to answer every question in their comments. Again, one of my best examples is Coach Money. As much as we make jokes and like how he says, I don't know, I don't care. Look at his videos from like 2 or 3 years ago. He was answering every single damn question, and I wouldn't blame him if he's fed up with it.
Let's switch gears a little bit and let's start talking about your programming, because I'm very interested to see how, because you were mentioning to me that you currently run cross country, correct?
Yes,
So
that's
you're
right.
You're on the damage and fatigue sport.
Yes.
So how are you managing your fatigue while trying to be an aspiring bodybuilder, as you told me that you might possibly be interested
in? Possibly. So I'm training 6 days a week for cross country, and obviously, the lighter you are, the faster you'll run, unfortunately. And if I tried to lose weight, run 6 times a week, and then train, it's not going to be pretty. And the thing with cross country is it's almost like my off season from weightlifting. So my only goal right now is to maintain what I have while managing fatigue from my running and my weightlifting. So right now for this month and next month only, I'm just running 2x full body. So full body twice a week, because I'm already training 6 days a week from running, and I have a meet every weekend. So my only goal is to just maintain, and that's it. Though my diet and my recovery need to be dialed completely.
So what's your diet looking like? High calorie,
So,
I have to assume?
I'm holding maintenance right now. And the thing is, maintenance is weird when you're burning 1,000 calories a day, like with running. So I am eating like 3,000 to 3,500 calories every day just to maintain my weight.
Well, I mean, I'm 245 pounds too.
Yeah. I was surprised by how much like I was eating just when I was tracking it. When I looked at my watch, I was like, oh, you burned 1,500 calories a day. What? So yeah, diet is looking hefty, and mostly because I don't want to go on a deficit and risk losing a significant amount of muscle mass.
Yeah. So are you trying to? Sorry, continue.
No.
Are you trying to really hit maintenance every day, or are you okay with going a little bit over? Because
I'm okay with going a little bit over. I'm more worried about getting under. So going over is not bad.
So when you're in your off season, I'm assuming you're not eating anywhere close to 3,000 calories.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my off season, I'll be running full body 3 times a week or full body every other day. Mostly because it doesn't take. Sorry, the sessions themselves take a lot of time, but spread across a whole week, you're not in the gym for that long because you're only going once every other day. So if it's the best with my schedule, and hypothetically, it is also the most optimal, and my diet, looks more closer to 2,500 calories, and then I'll be main gaining. I was considering like a mini cut, so I can get a bit leaner and then main gain. But since I'm 15 and I'm in puberty, yeah, I'd rather not, go in a deficit like that.
Yeah, I'm sure that deficit. How bad did that deficit hit you when you were doing it like at 13?
Oh yeah, so my deficit for weight loss at 13, when I was like, a bit larger than I was, it was mostly a recomp. I probably lost about 20 or 30 pounds of fat over 2 years, and I was still growing, which is good. The main reason why I wouldn't want to go in a deficit is because you want to grow fully and you want to make sure you develop well. But honestly, my deficit wasn't that steep. I was really surprised how easy it was to put myself in a deficit. All I was doing was eating slightly less rice. Asian family, you eat a lot of rice, and all I did was cut my rice in half and then eat more protein to keep me more full, and then more vegetables, more fiber, more fruit.
Wow.
And just like that. Yeah.
It's not very difficult for you, yeah.
Yeah. And I have to thank for my grandparents who were cooking for me. My diet was already pretty clean. I just had to cut out some carbs because rice is really easy to overeat. Not that it's like not filling. Rice is still filling, but it's really calorie dense. So when I cut that out, it was not bad at all.
Yeah, that was definitely not the same for me. I was definitely addicted to eating food. When I was in like middle school, I would get home from school every single day, and like the family size bag of like Lay's potato chips.
Yeah,
I would have one full bag of those like every single day right after school while I was like watching a YouTube video or something like that, and then that would like be on top of the 3 meals I would have in a day. So it would have to be like over 3,000 calories a day just by accident, which I could like only dream of doing now. But I definitely did not have that same experience with you, and I was like struggling when I was losing weight. I got like dangerously skinny as well. I think I was at my heaviest at 15. I was 235, but I was also way shorter than I am now. I'm 6'2" now. I was probably like 5'9" or 5'10", and I got down to 165 in like a year. Yeah, and I was like dangerously skinny. Like, I think your mic might be muted.
I'm muted.
What?
I can hear you now.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people, actually, the deficit might be incredibly hard. And honestly, in some days it was mostly from snacking. Like, oh my god, bro, snacking feels so good. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
We have low calorie snacks now, though. Like, it's easier than it was like even 5 years ago.
Yeah. And especially if you're in control of what you buy at the grocery store, that also keeps it, very good. So for me, I have no control, right? I come home and my parents buy like a whole pack of Oreos, and by the end of the day, they're all gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, much better. All right. Ooh, that's clean. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say I am definitely like willing to program. I definitely program full body for all my clients all the time. Not all my clients, but many of my clients all the time. I program upper lower, and I'm not even gonna lie. I've even programmed the bro split. And yeah, I know, not because I wanted to, not because it was the first priority. But at the end of the day, like sometimes, not that enjoyment is the most important factor for hypertrophy, but it's the most important factor for a client in a gym that
100%.
Is hiring you to work. Like some people forget sometimes that we could talk about being the most optimal all day, but you have to be in some pretty like perfect conditions to be able to truly maximize hypertrophy to the literal sense. So like there are some people who just can't train full body 3 times a week. They can't go to the gym for 3 hours, or maybe there's some people who just don't want to. And your job as a coach is to work your programming around the client that you're working with. Some people are addicted to working out. That's why I personally do upper lower. Not because I think that it's any better than full body, but I don't think I could stomach only going to the gym 3 days a week.
I agree with that 100%. And what you were saying, some people don't have the time. Some people don't want to. I wouldn't just say some people. I'd say most people.
Yeah.
We have to realize how small this niche is, and most of our major content creators are either, young and have time like that, or they're just doing this for their livelihood, like Keenan now, I think. I think he's a full-time coach now.
Was he not before?
I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote anyone or anything, so I'll be liberal with my, takes. And we have to realize, like, there's a good reason why there's not middle-aged working men doing a 9 to 5 in our niche. Most of it is young people, who have time.
Yeah, I would say, and I would say that's definitely true. And that's where like the maximalism stuff got out of hand. Like, and that's one thing I actually did want to ask you. Like, where do you draw the line between like proper good maximalist training and overboard, not enough stimulus to the amount of fatigue that you're going to get?
Yeah. So, okay, this is actually a really good question, and I think it depends on the person. My best answer is if you're programming and you don't want to, let's say you have a weak point. Like my weak point is chest. it would make sense for you to do 3 sets per chest, 1 per region, to bring up your chest.
3 times per week, you're saying, right?
Yeah. 3 sets 3 times a week, 1 set per each region per session.
I would agree. That's generally probably, if I had to pick one optimal answer, that would be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's say like your biceps aren't a weak point. I wouldn't do like a recline curl and then a bicep supination if they're not a weak point. And I think what determines what is true maximalist training is based off of you. It would make sense to train your weak points with maximalist training, and then to kind of leave everything at a minimalist training. This is something I want to slowly bring up. And I also do not think it is what's the word? Sustainable for you to maximally train every single muscle group in your body. So what I like to think of is like you have like 3 or 4 muscle groups that you want to train maximally, and then the rest you kind of train minimally with 1 to 2 sets 3 times a week. And then the 3 to 4 that you really care about, you can do 3 to 4 sets per session 3 times a week, or adapt that to however you would do in upper lower.
That's exactly what I would say. That's like I would say one trap that so many like lifters I see in the space fall into is thinking that the more maximalist they get, the more like well-rounded and balanced their physique will end up looking. When in reality, like the more overall exercises you're adding to your program, it's likely that that's going to contribute to your physique being less balanced. Because like think about some of these exercises that we see on TikTok, like finger extension. What was another one? The like the neck extensions, neck flexion.
Yeah, neck. You could technically do like deviation of
ulnar and radial deviation. There's what was the one that I really the serratus punches. Like depending on when those are going in your session, that could just dramatically reduce the amount of force output you have on like muscle groups that actually have high growth potential because of the amount of type 2 proportion they have. And it's like we genuinely forget sometimes that some muscles just don't even have high growth potential anyway. So and that's the reason why we don't train them. Like and I would say that's the biggest issue with maximalism. And I'm always going to say you should be using these maximalist techniques for your weak points. And
yes, 100%.
But only your weak points. And then and that would be what would lead to the most well-balanced physique. Because if your pecs are a strong point, why would you need to do a movement for the costal pecs, a movement for the the transverse plane for the sternal pecs? Why would you need to do a movement like with flexion and adduction? Also, why would you need to do pure flexion? And like it gets to a point. It definitely gets to a point. Yeah. And I would say like that's another issue. This ties into like the compound debate. Because like just because isolations in theory may lead to the limiting factor being more predictable, it doesn't mean that a compound doesn't get to the exact same end goal if the limiting factor is the target muscle.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like I made a post about this. Like people just like I saw a post like literally yesterday, someone saying isolations will always be better than compounds for hypertrophy. And I was just curious, like what do you think about that statement? Would you say that's true?
I would say that if I was forced to choose only one, I would choose the isolation.
Would you say they're always better for hypertrophy though?
Always better. There's 2 perspectives that you can give. The first one is that, well, in a compound you'll have multiple joint actions occurring, therefore less neural drive to the pec specifically, which may lead to the high threshold motor units of the pec not getting fully recruited, and therefore you can't grow the pecs to the greatest potential.
But isn't there no limit to the amount of like motor units you could recruit at one time?
There's no limit.
There's no cap. Like our central nervous system doesn't have a cap as far as like how many motor units we can recruit at once. Like if we need to maximally recruit the motor units in our bicep and our pecs at the same time, we would be able to do that.
It would be hypothetically possible, yeah. The main argument for to interrupt, but the main argument for the single joint isolations is that if you were given the same neural drive for both movements, right, and on the first one, some of it would have to go to the triceps instead. And then in the pec deck, all of it would just go to the pecs. It's assuming that there's the same neural drive.
Right, but why are that's my question is why are we assuming that it's the same neural drive? Oh, okay. I feel you. That's the best answer. That's the best answer.
Yeah. And then that's where the second perspective comes in, right? Oh, hypothetically, you could. Why wouldn't you not be able to recruit, like you were saying, both high threshold motor units in the triceps and the chest? And then that's kind of where that debate comes in.
Yeah. And so if you had to select your stance on that, like do you generally program with mostly isolations?
Mostly for my weak points, I would err to isolations, but of course I completely see where you are coming from and where most people are coming from. Compounds. And also to take a step back, even if you are losing motor unit recruitment on a compound, it is not by much. Okay. It is like, of course, spread over 10 years, you will probably see some difference, but just, I hate to quote anecdotes. I really hate to quote anecdotes, but the one I like to quote is Jeff Nippard. In his recent, upper lower PPL split, in his upper day, he only does incline barbell bench for the chest. And I'm sure on his hypertrophy day is like a pec fly, but with that argument, the high threshold motor units that would have been recruited by the PEC-5 wouldn't have been trained or stimulated with the incline bench. That's a barbell. That's more compoundy, and therefore it would likely not, correlate to high amounts of growth. You will still grow perfectly fine with compounds. And shit, you will. Like I said, the difference is not big enough to be making a fuss about it.
Just because I'm definitely not making the claim that they're superior.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, like I said, there's no reason to make a big fuss about it, and you got some trickle down to the triceps. If you're rushing, if you're a beginner, you could grow a lot.
Yeah, that was the.
Yeah.
No, you said you were gonna say, sorry.
The low threshold motor units are not maxed out in beginners yet.
So, what is the best and worst aspect of science-based lifting on TikTok?
That's a great question. Probably the best is the ease of access to information, especially high quality information from content creators like I was saying, Keenan, TNF, Dro, Yo, I could name a whole bunch of people. Especially I'm like I was saying, with multiple identities. And you can learn a lot on TikTok, despite how much I hate short form content and how we both agree that it cannot provide, a lot of needed context. Regardless, you can still learn a lot. And that's kind of where I springboarded off of. So definitely ease of information. Now, what I don't like is, number one, just how like simple some of the content is, especially from new creators that might have heard about this niche and wanted to create about it before truly grasping what all of the science really means, or even accepting the fact that neuromechanical matching is a theory and not something that we have concretely, as we saw through the current debates. And there's a lot of slop. I hate to call it that. It simply is either misinforming, lacking context, or provides no actual value to educational value. Obviously, not everyone's goal is to educate on TikTok, but I feel like our gears are kind of stuck. When I first started getting into the niche, I learned things left and right. There were new concepts coming at me left and right from these videos from these creators on mechanical tension or mechanical matching, internal moment arms, motor unit recruitment, Henneman size principle. And instead of advancing forward, we're just replaying it over and over again. And I feel like we're stuck where we are, and we're not advancing forward, except for the those viral hot takes, or the upper back row versus Keenan flap debate and those types of debates.
Yeah, but it's crazy how we literally recycle topics to debate on at this point. And that's what makes me wonder, is this a bubble that's just gonna pop at some point and it's just gonna fizzle out and we're really not gonna be hearing much about science-based lifting anymore, except for small niche that's gonna slowly shrink over time? Or is it going to move into a higher, more commercial level? Because you have to look at companies like EchoVision, right? They're exploding off of these type of creators, but with the trajectory that the actual niche is going, I don't see how the business aspect of this niche is going to survive.
Yeah. And honestly, it kind of makes me scared to see how stuck we are. And when we're not stuck, it's just we're replaying the same things over and over again. Not only do we recycle topics like I was saying, mechanical tension, all that stuff, to remake videos on, we recycle debates, like you were saying. And that's kind of what I noticed. Holy shit, we're not moving forward. We're just going in a fucking circle.
Yeah, and it's crazy. We're talking about frequency again. That was literally almost a year ago we were talking about frequency.
Yeah.
And we're talking about frequency. It's the same debate, and it's neuromechanical matching and Henneman size principle becoming popular again. And I don't even blame the young creators that much, because it's not just the youth. It's not even really 15, 16, 17-year-olds. It's people closer to my age, to be honest, that are just uneducated, been lifting for a couple of years, haven't made good results, subscribe to Chris Beardsley's Patreon, basically ask AI to rephrase Chris Beardsley's Patreon and then paste it into TikTok. And that's the biggest struggle, at least from my perspective, because as much as you should play the algorithm if you want to be successful as a coach online, it's very difficult to make valuable and organic content if you need to just pump them out like slop, like you were describing. If you just need to feed the algorithm 3 to 4 videos a day, it's almost like the algorithm is asking you to release BS.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It rewards it. What's the word? It rewards
rage bait, people who make content multiple times a day, people who make content that isn't truly educational, but at least it makes the person feel educated. It's not.
Yeah. It was contrarianism as well. That's another thing. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. It just being different and having an opinion that contradicts what the current narrative is will blow you up, and that's all that matters. Because once you blow up, you have your niche of people. Look at Rungless. He has almost 60K followers, I think. His business is probably doing better than it's ever done, all from hating on these rage baiting kids. And these rage baiting kids are also probably making money by rage baiting. And there are creators that have actually studied this for years and years that are not even noticed because their content isn't engaging enough.
That is what truly makes me sad.
Yeah.
And that is also one of the worst parts of this scene is that we've strayed so far from actually educating people towards this kind of, let's play the algorithm.
Yeah.
Or let's see what gets the most views. And that's something I had to question with myself when I started making content. Is kind of at the beginning, I had to ask myself, what am I doing this for? Because first of all, I'm 15. I'm too young to coach anyone. Yeah. I think if I offered to coach someone, they would not let me, right? So I'm no coaching to sell. And I'm not trying to get into like being an athlete for a company like Ecovision, for example. Like that's not my true goal.
Yeah.
My goal is that there are people who want help with lifting, who want information, who want to learn, and I can teach it. That's it. And I knew that for every video I made, there was at least one person, or at least one version of myself that didn't know, that wanted to have known in that moment, wished that there was a video on a For You page that could have taught them this. And that's it. I just post. Oh, shoot. I wish I knew this when I was lifting. Post. Oh, shoot. This is really cool. Most people don't know about this. Post. And I'd rather not make slop and make genuine content that will help people learn, will spread new ideas, and grow my following very slowly over time. Like right now, I only have like 100-something followers. If I posted 3 times a day, I would probably maybe 500 or 1,000.
And if you started just posting lifting videos and you're doing like some just ridiculous stuff, I'm sure you'd get a bunch of hate creators talking about, well, who's this 15-year-old trying to become a bodybuilder? You probably do great, actually. You should do that. No, I'm just kidding.
I know what you're saying, though. Like, I've decided to play the long game and to just build up a community that will benefit from what I have to say and not just like, oh, rage bait this, rage bait that. And yeah, it's sad that the people not doing this are the ones actually getting popular. But it is what it is, yo. I don't have any incentive. So I'm chilling, right? That's what's nice about being so young in the scene, that you don't really need a reason behind anything. Because I could leave this platform any day and I'd be perfectly fine. Like I got enough things to worry about. I got school, I got all that stuff. I'm very secure in my position, so I'm not worried.
Would you say you're interested? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Would you say you're interested in making this career for yourself, or no?
I mean, it's not my plan. I'm going into computer science, and I have vast ideas for that. This is mostly for the love of the game. If you know what I'm saying.
I respect that.
And yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be lifting for the rest of my life. But if this turns out to be a career, I wouldn't be mad. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not even my backup idea. It's just like an idea that is unlikely to happen. But if it doesn't, I won't be mad.
You don't have any interest in studying any type of exercise science or anything like that in college?
In college, if I had the dinero, I would do a minor in it. I'm self-studying a little bit, just a little bit by myself. But nothing to make this my major or to take this full time currently.
All right. I got a couple more questions for you and then we'll wrap it up. Most important one, how did you come up with the name?
Physique Checks Out.
Yeah. Did you get a hate comment or is it just, you just came up with that?
No. So, originally my name was not Physique Checks Out. It was, it was like a randomly generated name that TikTok just gives you when you create your account. And on my first video, someone commented Physique Checks Out. I wasn't even posing. All right.
Oh, so it was a hate
definitely. Yeah, it was a hate comment, but I think it was just like a sarcastic, like ironic joke because Physique Checks Out is always thrown here and there in this niche. And I'm like, wait, I'm 15, I'm relatively small. Let's pre-fire these comments. What if I just made my name Physique Checks Out? Because like, I know that if I were to go big, first of all, no one knows I'm 15, right? You only know because of that like waiver that I signed, and no one knows. But if I were to post my physique, or if I were to let someone know, or let my audience know, they would just say, "Oh, Physique Checks Out." And so
that's what I did when I saw your profile. I immediately followed you when I saw your profile. I didn't even look at your videos. I was like, "This is dope. I wish I got this name."
Yeah. But I'm thinking about making it another name. My middle name. Oh shoot! It's what I have on Discord. My middle name is Yi. Y-I. Now my first name is boring. A lot of people have my first name. My last name is also boring.
Is it Jonathan?
My first name Tyler, and then last name is Wang.
The
thing is,
I thought your last name was Yi. Your middle name is Yi.
Yeah. My middle name is Yi.
Imagine if I hit Jonathan though, right off the bat, like first guess.
Yeah. That would have been crazy. That would have actually been crazy.
Yeah.
But 1 in 10 people from China have the last name Wang because it means king, and like the kings were getting pretty freaky with the maidens. Okay, they had a lot of children, so I can't make it anything with the word Wang because they're probably already taken. Can't make anything with the name Tyler because that's too boring. Yi Yi. I was thinking Yi talks, but that'd be too close to Yo talks, and it feels like I'm impersonating Yo talks because I and O are right next to each other on the keyboard.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of stuck. So for the moment right now, it'll be like physique checks out, but it might be Yi trains, Yi lifts, something generic instead of physique checks out. But
Yi
I might just
keep
keep
it dope though.
Yeah, Yi talk. I was genuinely thinking Yi talks, but then people would accuse me of copying Yo, which
I
I'm
get
like,
that. I get that, but at the same time, like, it might be good for engagement, right? Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
take the hate.
You know,
Like,
play the algorithm.
as we were just talking bad on it,
Yeah.
we were doing that. Now you're gonna make it Yi talks, but that's have you ever spoken to Yi talks or no? I'm sorry, Yo talks.
We already got one, bro. We already got one mistake that leads to more engagement. No, so I've never talked to Yo talks, but I would love to. Seems like a cool dude.
I would
but
love
obviously,
to talk to Yo talks.
Oh yeah, he has a lot of controversial opinions. Yeah, 100%. He's a dude. I think Yo is probably one of the people that really got me into this niche too, because it was so just outlandish to me in that moment that I really wanted to learn what he was thinking. I really did.
I would say he's another pioneer. I would say he's more of a pioneer than Paul Carter is probably to the younger generation. I mean, I would say most people that know of science-based lifting right now, if they had to name a creator, they would name Yo talks.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Yeah. Like, and that's another thing. Do you think like, and this is no hate to Yo talks physique whatsoever, because like I believe he's put on like a very decent amount of muscle since he started lifting, and he shared the results to that. So I'm absolutely not gonna hate on anybody at any point in their fitness journey. But like, the fact that he's not like a massive bodybuilder, do you think that plays a role in his popularity in the niche? Like, obviously it calls for the hate, which is engagement. Or do you think Yo talks would be less popular if he were more jacked?
No, I definitely think Yo talks would be more popular if he was more jacked.
He'd be more popular if he were more. Sorry, he'd be more popular if he were more jacked. Okay.
Yes, I personally believe that. Obviously, like you said, like him being not super jacked. Sorry, Yo talks has a respectable physique. It's just that compared to other people in this niche, like Keenan, TNF,
which is also like it's also unattainable at his current stage of training anyway. So not even yeah, like it's not even possible. So
yeah. I just think the amount of extra support Yo talks would get if he was jacked, would outweigh the engagement he got from the hate from being not jacked. Same thing for me. I think my age is a detriment to my success. I feel like if I tell someone, oh, do this, do that, or I talked with the gym nerd. I don't know if you know him, but we were having a chat about training someone who needed to train to strengthen her synapses in her brain, like to reinforce neural pathways. And I went on my whole like tangent and I explained everything. And then at the end, I revealed that I'm 15. I don't remember how I revealed it. And I felt like I lost credibility. Like I lost ethos in that moment because I don't know. I feel like I'm too young to be in this space and to give advice like that. And I feel like if I truly did, like if I had my bio 15 or like 09, like that's my birth year,
which so many people do as if it's like a big flex as well.
Yeah. I feel like in my comments it'd be like, oh, you're young. What do you even know? Or like you're look at these young people like they're running around with a whole bunch of nothing. And I really do think that if I was older, first of all, I'd be a bit more jacked, but I would have a lot more credibility. Obviously, I don't look 15. I don't think anyone thinks I'm 15 unless they watch this podcast. Which hey, what's up, man? But I really don't think my age is actually a positive.
Would you say that you feel that way, like because that's the perception of the public, or do you genuinely feel like you need to be more like matured or educated in this field to be able to make content?
Yeah, so it's like 99% just the public perception of this. I know that in my mind, I am as educated, obviously I'm not like as educated as like Keenan or something like that, but I'm as educated as some creators in this nation, therefore I should be given a platform. But I also would agree that, first of all, I'm not mature enough to be coaching. Like I don't have enough years under my belt to have that kind of
I think that's a mature response already, though, I would say.
Yeah. To coach at all. And obviously I need to admit to myself that I have way more to learn. And I should never get overzealous or overconfident in what I preach, especially with the neuromechanical matching thing. That's kind of really opened my eyes to like, oh shoot, what if everything I learned, not everything, but like, what if what I preach is actually wrong? And
would you be able to detach yourself from that identity that you've built? That's the biggest thing. Like, and it's 100%. Good that you're having these thoughts at the age of 15. So while you may see it as like a detriment that you're 15 years old, like you have no idea how much like time and effort that you've skipped the fact that you started so early. Like, and I started at 15. So yeah, I would say that you're doing the right thing. And the fact that you're aware of the fact that you need to learn more and that you're on the beginning part of that lifelong journey where you realize like the more you learn, the more you'll learn that you know nothing.
Yep.
At the end of the day, like that's, as long as you're seeking to disprove yourself every day and find, the most objective reality that we can obtain, that's really all you can do in any field. So I would not feel that way about posting. I would keep posting as much as you want to, and I would keep educating people, because you've even provided value to somebody like me who is 5 years older than you and has been on this journey longer than you and later than you. And I have a career in this field, and I learn things from your videos. So
I really do appreciate that. When I first started, I really had no idea where this was going to go. I was honestly kind of bored. I was in China, and I was just bored.
You lived in China?
And yeah, just for vacation, just a little vacation with the family. And I'm glad that I can impact people through social media in a positive way. I'm glad that there are opportunities like this where I can talk with someone else in my niche and really, get nitty gritty with it. And I'm excited to see where this all leads. And I know this will be a lifelong journey, like you said. And this is only the beginning. And that's what gets me excited to study, to train, to post, to engage with people like you and people like I wouldn't say my fans, but my followers. Let's just call them that.
You can always consider me a fan of you.
I would never. You are. I'd say we're like colleagues, even though we're like 5 years apart.
Yeah,
but that's
micro creators.
Yeah, micro. Yeah, we're so niche that
it's like nano celebrity.
Yeah, nano celebrity.
I'm coining that term. Do you think that's been coined before?
Probably. Let me see.
Yeah, go look at the TikTok is nano celebrity.
Nano celebrity. Yep. Too late, buddy.
Fuck. Is there a smaller thing than nano or no?
I don't. It's actually a URL called nanocelebrity.com. So it's over for you, buddy. Unfortunate.
All right. All right. I guess not.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice. Honestly, I'm happy to talk to someone that's also in the same niche as me, bro. Like.
Yeah, I don't really know many people in real life who care about this stuff at all.
Yeah. So that's always nice.
What's one thing that you wish older people in this niche understood about how your generation sees training?
And that's a really good question. So I think one of the positives of starting out young and also being educated in this niche is that you don't have a lot of bias. There's nothing to be biased towards. It's not like you were taught something at the age of 3 that you should, do X, Y, and Z. Like do barbell row and not just a supported row, and then the social media videos will unteach you that, right? It's not like I had any bias going into this. Except for like the stretch, I would say, like Jeff Nipper, Dr. Mike. And I honestly understand where some of these older lifters are coming from. They've trained their whole lives, like the golden age bodybuilders. And to be disrupted by new ideas and new ways of training that are quote unquote more optimal will frustrate them. And it's almost like you're insulting them, which is, I think, why they are offended. And one thing that I really wish that they understood about the new generation lifters is that because we haven't trained like this for our entire lives, we are very open.
We have no attachment to these exercises. It's like it's similar to like cell phones. You know how people in older generations will talk about, you have no idea what life was like without a cell phone. That's the whole reason why we don't see the same detriment to society with cell phones that you do, because we've been, we have never experienced a world without it. We've never experienced the way things were. So we don't compare. We don't have that nostalgia bias. Everybody prefers music from when they were a kid kind of thing.
Yeah. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. And because of that, you will kind of advance very quickly with our ideas and keep pushing in that direction. And what you might see as brazen or, ignorant, we see as more so getting closer to the truth. Because, like you said, we don't have bias, we don't have attachment. So take it easy on us, okay? Take it easy. But again, I understand where they're coming from too.
They just have to accept that guys like you in the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. But I would never say that like out loud, because that sounds really cocky. But yes, we are the future, and this way of training is definitely going to take over. Hopefully.
All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. The goal here is simple. Gather different viewpoints from across the lifting world and put them on the table so we can all move closer to the most effective way to train. Big thanks to Tyler for coming on and sharing his perspective. If you want to check out more of his work, you can find him at Physique Checks Out currently, but it may be subject to change. And if you enjoyed this conversation, share it with a friend and make sure you're following so you don't miss future episodes. I'll be back soon with another perspective. Until then, keep training smart.